Hello, and welcome to the quarterly training for quarter 2. My name is Mari Salazar. I'm the dual language ESL specialist for 2nd grade. You also see on this slide my manager, Gina Paniagua, as well as my executive director, Richard Heffernan, and my director, Amanda Clymer. Our learning objective is I am learning about the curricular documents available for quarter 2 in dual language and how to tailor them to my students. Success criteria 1. I can navigate the resources for quarter 2 to support my instruction. And success criteria 2, I can identify engagement strategies for my students. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to learn about accessing Curriculum Central and review the dates for assessments. We're going to look at spotlights for quarter 2 for kinder, 1st, and 2nd grade. We'll also take a look at our instructional planning calendars, or also known as IPCs. In 2nd grade, we're going to look at the quarter support document that's included to help with your pacing. And then with my colleague, Maribel, you'll hear about engagement strategies that can be found on the Clarity documents, and then how to use those elevation activities to help with those engagement strategies. Success criteria 1, I can navigate the resources for quarter 2 to support my instruction. Again, our curriculum is found on Curriculum Central. And once you get into our curriculum, you'll have access to our year at a glance, our weekly focused instructional pacing calendars, or IPCs. You'll have access to the Clarity documents, how to bridge the knowledge. And what we mean by bridging the knowledge is anytime there's a metalinguistic connection for English and Spanish, you'll find those under bridging the knowledge. And then you'll also see on there engagement strategies. So to access Curriculum Central, you'll have to go in through your Clever account. So make sure you get on Clever. Once in Clever, you'll click on the icon that says Curriculum Central. And then you'll get a page that looks like this, Dallas ISD Curriculum Central. You'll notice for quarter 2, if you've gone on already, you see a yellow orangey ribbon, or maybe Texas Longhorn kind of orange ribbon, and it says an elevation playlist. If you click on that, you'll get a bookmark that looks like this that talks about what are engagement strategies and how we're going to use those elevation strategies to help support those engagement strategies. There's a rationale for the purpose as to why we use those engagement strategies and how do you access elevation. You access elevation through Clever, but once again, we'll have everything linked on our IPCs that you don't have to navigate back and forth. Once you're in Curriculum Central, you're going to click on the top where it says Content Departments. You're going to scroll down and you're going to pick kinder through 2nd grade. And then when you do click on that, you'll get an IPC, your spreadsheet that looks like this. If you've used it in quarter 1, you should be very familiar with it. And on the bottom part, you still have access to quarter 1 just in case you need to review. But on the bottom half of your screen, that's where you'll see quarter 2. Instead of like seeing quarter 2, week 1, you'll have it see that it's labeled quarter 2, week 9. That's your first week in quarter 2. And then you'll see the Amplify is highlighted. Amplify Dual is highlighted in kinder, 1st, and 2nd. One thing we do want you to notice in quarter 2, social studies is found in one column. So your gen ed and dual social studies are on the same link. They're no longer going to be separated like they were in the 1st quarter. Also on Curriculum Central, you'll see your assessment spreadsheets. When you click on it when you're live, you'll get a bigger spreadsheet. One thing that's important to notice is the key up there, what all those colors stand for. I know that's a lot of acronyms, so just want to make sure we're focusing right now on the ELAR, SLAR. So that's what that means. Especially in 2nd grade, I want you to notice where you do see the purple. That will be found in 2nd grade in your knowledge assessments. That means the students could take it in English or Spanish. They are not required to take it in both languages. You can pick the language that your students are stronger in. If it's Spanish, you can have them test in Spanish. If it's English, you can have them test in English. And that test is open for that week. That test should be open for 2 weeks once you do have it in All-in Learning. So you'll have time to look at that. I know the dates seem kind of tight. There's a lot of things going on, especially with your other subject areas. That's a good point to notice when you do have your pausing points. I want you to look at your whole lessons for quarter 2, see where those pausing points are and how many you have, so that way you can help make up for those times if you do need to adjust or modify some lessons, or if you're absent, or if there's a lot of assemblies going on and you lose some instructional time. So those pausing points will really be a good moment in your lesson to catch up, reteach, or review whatever it is you need to review. These are your assessment dates for quarter 2. This would be a good thing maybe to print out or have handy so that you can be aware of the dates coming up, not just for knowledge and skills, but also if there's any map testing, if there's any math, that you'll have a one-stop shop for all your tests here. Also in Curriculum Central, you'll notice there's a little spot on the bottom corner in Curriculum Central that has your blueprints. It shows all the TEKS that will be tested during that assessment time frame. Now we're going to look at some quarter 2 knowledge and skills highlights. We're going to begin with kindergarten. So if you are a kindergarten teacher, you'll want to take notice of the next few slides. Here's your highlights for Conocimiento in kindergarten for Unit 4, 5, and 6. And I want you to pause your computer now and take some time to look at the different skills the students will be covering in quarter 2, as well as the TEKS. Next, we have the skills and TEKS that you'll be covering in kinder for habilidades y destrezas. Pause your computer for a moment to take a look at those skills. Next, we have our first grade highlights. Once again, we begin with Conocimiento. You'll be covering units 3, 4, and 5. Pause your computer so you could take a moment to look at this. You also have habilidades y destrezas for first grade. All the different skills, phonics, different word segmenting, blending, any sentence structures that the students will be learning. Take a moment and pause your computer so that you can go over these different skills. Next, we have our second grade highlights. Second grade in Conocimiento and Knowledge will be covering units 4, 5, and 6. You do see the red and blue on here because, as you recall, in second grade, they are receiving ELAR and SLAR for the first time. So you'll see the things in red stand for Spanish and blue mean English. Pause your computer if you're a second grade teacher so you could take a look at what will be covered in quarter 2. Next, we have our habilidades y destrezas en segundo grado. These are all the TEKS in Spanish and the different skills and lessons that the students will be covering for second grade quarter 2. Second grade also has skills in English. Take a moment to pause your computer so that you can look at the different skills in English available that your students will be covering this quarter. We have our IPCs for quarter 2. They look the same as they did in the first quarter, but one thing to notice that you'll see in the purple box, you'll see a link for our office hours. When you click on that, you're going to be taken to that specialist booking time. For example, if you need to speak to a kindergarten specialist, you'll click on kindergarten. First grade, you'll click on first grade. And for second grade, you'll click on my office hours. We have several time blocks available for you in the morning and afternoon. But again, if something is not working with your schedule, you can always email us and definitely we'll try to work out a time that meets your needs and your schedule. And here's a look at the quarter 2, week 1 IPC. They look the same. One thing we made highly visible this time was that you'll be able to see the Conexión Bilingüe. These are found for kinder first and second from the habilidades y destrezas. We try to make that more visible so that you can be able to make those connections with your students easily, and they incorporate really easily into your lesson. So you don't have to do anything differently. And then the conexiones bilingües and amplify, they're going to look like this. When you see them in habilidades y destrezas, they're going to have a Venn diagram and it's going to say conexión bilingüe. Sometimes they're as short as what you see on your slide. It could be just one word and it's talking about what the word looks like in English. It's a cognate and how they're very similar so those students can make those quick connections in both languages. And once again, this Conexión Bilingüe is only found in your habilidades y destrezas lessons for kinder, first, and second grade. Another document that's important to notice that you'll find as a link in additional resources on the second grade IPC is your quarter support document. If you're familiar with it, you recall that the pink stands for Spanish and the blue stands for English. If you're only teaching Spanish, you'll only look at the pink. If you're only teaching English, you'll look at the English, the blue. But it's good to have on hand so that both teachers are aware of what their partner is teaching. That way you can modify if you need to, if you need some extra time, or if you want to use, this one's not showing any pausing points or the other pausa, but definitely use those days to regroup if you need to, if you had to miss some instructional time for whatever reason, or if a teacher was absent. A note about writing in second grade, there's going to be a lot more writing pieces for second grade in quarter two. And when I say a writing piece, I don't want you to think they have to do that long drawn 4 or 5 paragraphs. That's not what we mean by writing pieces. Some are as short as the reading response. Sometimes they're writing a report about a book. So they'll be drafting, planning, and then publishing, editing and publishing as needed. But when students are doing those writing pieces in second grade, they don't have to do them in English or Spanish, in both languages. They could pick one language. For example, if they start in a writing piece in Spanish, you can continue those pieces the next 2, 3, 4 lessons in Spanish. When your students go into the ELAR teacher, that ELAR teacher, when it's time to do that writing piece, because it will continue in English, just have them work on it in Spanish. If the teacher is able to help them, if she's bilingual, then he or she can definitely help the students during that piece. They do not have to write it twice, or that they're not writing piecemeal, like a little bit in Spanish, a little bit in English. We want that writing piece to flow. So it's a good idea to have your students, and they probably already do this, like to have a folder, a spiral, or whatever it is you use to keep your reading and writing together. Make sure they're taking that to their other teacher so that they can continue their writing piece during that writing block. And vice versa, if the teacher is doing that writing piece in English, during your Spanish time, you could also help them continue that writing piece in English. They do not have to do it in little pieces in Spanish and little pieces in English. We want the students to get a good beginning to end, go through all the writing process, the different stages of that writing piece.
As you remember in the presentation, we had 2 different success criteria. The first one was I will know what I have to teach in the unit, and as you have the link to the presentation, all the information, all the highlights of the quarter are there for you if you need to go back and consult them. But we are going to move on into the engagement strategies. The success criteria was I can identify engagement strategies for my students. And we decided on this part of the presentation because this is a very common feedback that we are getting from the Amplify walks. When you're teaching lessons, one of the things that we hear a lot in the feedback is, oh, there is not enough engagement. So like we said, we're not making changes to Amplify, but we have to make it ours when we are presenting to our students. And if we follow Amplify as is, then sometimes it looks a bit static. So let's work on some ideas on how to make the lessons a little bit more dynamic. So engagement strategies, of course, there is plenty of benefits to doing engagement strategies because they increase the students' attention, they get them focused, and they can think more critically, so they have opportunities to talk, and they can collaborate with their peers, they develop leadership skills, there's more participation, and we empower them. And of course, we're dual language, and one of the things that we have to make sure we do is always have students talking using their speaking skills, not only their receptive skills, but also their output skills. So writing and speaking, because that's how they acquire vocabulary. So Amplify has some opportunities in their lessons. So if you think about the preguntas de comprensión, there is always the invitation to do pensar, reunirse, compartir, which are, in fact, is the same as our bilingual pairs. And also in aplicación, there are some opportunities there for students to engage. But in addition to that, if you go to the IPCs and you see those links that we have in the middle of the page, you see where it says desarrollo del conocimiento, concrete to abstract, and we have estrategias para la participación. These are a little bit of extra support that we have added to the lessons. So make sure you follow those links. First of all, I think everybody by now is aware that we have provided slide decks for K2. If you go from the IPC, there is a bookmark that takes you to the clarity document. And this clarity document is where we break apart the lesson and we give you the tips, we give you engagement strategies, etc. And here's where you can find the soporte lingüístico, apoyo lingüístico, or language support. And this is where you're going to find the slides that have the vocabulary words for each lesson in conocimientos. And thank you. I see Gloria Prieto giving me thumbs up. Thank you, Gloria. Always remember that you can do TPR with those words. You can always attach a gesture with those words, and that would be a good way for you to provide more engagement in your lesson. And then we wanted to highlight this other part where it says estrategias para fomentar la participación. And in this part of the lesson, we have some links provided for you. We have 4 strategies that we highlighted in back to school that were optional. And then this time around, we have added the elevation strategies that are present there as well. And we have marked in the lessons, we give you the page of places, spots in the lesson where a good engagement strategy could be provided. So we tell you in page, like in this case, in page 107, you could do a QSS a strategy because the kids have to interact among each other. But also, we wanted to discuss this elevation link that is in the estrategias para fomentar la participación. So if you follow this link that we have in the lessons, you're going to find a document where we have selected some of the elevation activities that are best for K2 students. So it's a spreadsheet that has the link. The links, always remember that the links only open if you are already inside Clever and into and you log in into elevation. So first go to Clever, open elevation through Clever, and once you are already inside of the system, then click on our links and the activities will open. And we have selected some and we have displayed them with options like what we think they're best for. So for the purpose of today, so we can practice a little bit, we have selected one of the activities. In our spreadsheet where we have selected some of the elevation activities for you, we have put which corner as an after reading activity, but not necessarily. Like you could use it in other parts of the lesson. So let's watch this video about, like I said, you have to be in elevation in order to, already inside elevation, in order to open the links. Once you are in elevation, the links should open. And let's watch this strategy. I think it's a good strategy for us to follow. And the video to see it is really short.
Physical adaptation.
So in which corner you're gonna have the students receive a card, a paper or something where they're going to look at and they're going to decide which corner it belongs to, which category it belongs to. We're gonna look at our definition, we're gonna find that keyword in there, we're gonna match it to our category. So we have a physical adaptation. That means that there's something in my body that this animal has that's changing and it's going to be physical, okay? I want you guys to look at your card, read it. I want you to, in your head, think about if it needs to be a behavioral or if it's a physical, but you need to know why. Why is it that you think that, okay? You ready? You can stand up. Find your corner and stay there and have a conversation about it, okay? Once they're there, they have to have that conversation of, does this card actually belong with this category? And they're gonna justify whether, okay, I think this animal goes here because of this.
Their action doesn't change their body.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
still
the
the same animal.
They could be different animals, but it's a behavioral because anything in their body haven't changed yet.
They're still the
It's
same
just
animals.
their action that they're doing.
Yeah.
We're gonna be getting new cards. You're gonna do this a second time now with new cards.
Armadillos can roll up into a ball to protect their undersides.
Okay, so that is when the animal changes, like its body or something, like if that is really up. So that, in my opinion, that is a good answer.
Which corner doesn't literally have to be a corner. It could be two different spots in the room, as long as it's two different places where the kids are going to be moving and getting up and just going to. It doesn't have to be specific corners, and it doesn't have to be four corners. With my ESO levels, some of them are going to receive a picture. Some of them are going to receive a small sentence. Some of them are going to receive a couple of words.
¿Y cómo tú sabes que eso es física?
What do you think is physical?
I want to make sure that my kids know that their native language will help them learn their new language. It prepares them to just having a conversation with someone outside of the classroom. So you have to be able to give your opinion and justify what your thinking is. And this is a great activity to be able to do that.
You're on mute.
Sorry. Like I said, in this presentation, I hope you like the video. As you see, Elevation comes with videos where you can actually see the activities. And this teacher took a lesson. She gave them cards. But we can do the same thing with our Amplify activities, and just shake the lesson a little bit. There are different opportunities where you can use this option here. We are going to pretend that you guys are students, and we're going to play a little bit with this. So we're going to practice this activity so you can use it in your classroom next quarter. So you see, we selected a first grade, which is a grade in between, and we selected unit for lesson 9. And at this time of quarter 2, they're going. The students are going to be doing the unit about Aztecas, Incas, and Mayas. And this is kind of at the end. And if you see this lesson, here it tells you there is always this opportunity where you can talk about background knowledge in Amplify at the beginning, that it lends itself a lot to do which corner. That would be a good option for this specific lesson. But there is also, after reading, this part here where at the end they have each day when they learn something about the Mayas or the Incas, you will be filling a graphic organizer with them. So by the end of the unit, you will have 3 graphic organizers, one for Mayas, one for Aztecas, and one for Incas. So in this particular lesson, there were 2 spots where you could do background knowledge at the beginning, and you could have done which corner, and at the end, there is another opportunity. So what we decided to play with it and and bring it to you at the end of the lesson. So let's pretend we had this lesson. We have already seen Aztecas and Mayas, and now we're starting the Incas unit. And we just saw the beginning of the Incas. And now I want you to do something. So if you could please look at your, in your screen, go to the annotate tool in your, go to the annotate tool in your screen, and then you have this part here where it says stamp. And let's play with the annotate tool. But if you were in the classroom, you wouldn't be annotating. The kids would be moving around. Because this is virtual, we're going to use the annotation tool. Can everybody find it? Yes? Okay, so I'm going to imagine we are in this lesson. At the very end, we have these images, and it says, it just tells us to review what we've seen so far. So what you would do is to go ahead and project one of these, and you would, what you would do would be, oh, I see someone found it. What you would do is have these three anchor charts in the classroom, one for Aztecas, one for Incas, and one for Mayas. You can give the kids the tarjetas de imágenes, the physical ones, or you can project it on the screen and show it to them and have them move around, like everybody sees the same image. You project it on your screen, and then the kids move around to where they think the image belongs. Because we are online, let's do it virtually. So where do you think you can either use the annotation tool, or if you're not finding it, that's okay. You can unmute yourself and tell me which corner could you go to. So this picture here, where do you think, which corner would you like, do you think you need to go? Is this an Aztecas? Is this Incas? Oh, thank you, Ana, Jose, and Veronica. Okay, I see a lot of recognitions. I see Ivan. Okay, perfect. So the kids would move to this corner, correct? And they would be doing this, and they would have recognized, identified the civilization to which it belongs. Okay, this one might be a little harder. Let's look at this one. Oh, sorry. This one here, where does it belong? The second picture. Give me a mark, or you can do an arrow. Where would you walk? Where would you have the kids walk? Or what would you want the kids to walk? Which corner? Okay, exactamente. These are chinampas, and these are from the Aztec civilization. Okay, the third one. This is a tricky one. Which do you think this one belongs to? This one here, the sculpture. Can anybody walk to that corner? Or which corner would you like the kids to go to? This sculpture here. Thank you, John. Yes, Rocio. Perfect. Exactly. So we would want the kids, if we give them this card, or even if we just project them, we would want them to walk to this other corner, because this is El Rey Pacal and this is in the Mayan. Okay, let's do the fourth one. Okay, perfect. All the Mexicans in the room, perfect. Yeah, this is Aztecas. Let's do the next one. Thank you. And the last one is tricky because it's part of the it's part of the, wow, Rocio. Okay, perfect. Exactly. Yes. So this is an example on activity. We took a lesson from elevation and we just went ahead and turned it into, instead of having the kids just raise their hand, which is pretty static, and when they come observe us, it's not going to be as visually appealing, just kids raising their hands. What we are going to have them do is move around. First of all, you get them pumped up, they have fun, and for instance, if it's something was very difficult, they will get there will be a memory attached to it, because as you know, memory is attached to memory is attached to emotion. So if they have fun, they will remember and identify all of the activities, all of the images better. So now let's go ahead. We have something like 7 minutes to practice. I would like to challenge you. You have access to the presentation, and if Maribel, just in case, could share it with everybody. We have created a Jamboard for you. And in this Jamboard, we want to put our minds together. So we don't have much time, but I don't think we need it, because if you start reading the lesson, just on that beginning of the lesson, you're going to find opportunities. It doesn't matter if it's a TPR, if it's a corner strategy, or if it's just a think per share. But I would like each teacher to go into their own lesson. These are lessons from week 1 or week 2 of next week. And in the slide deck, you will also have access to these elevation activities that we have shared with you. And I would like you to go into this Jamboard and use a sticky note to tell us in this lesson where you see an engagement opportunity. So I'm going to open the Jamboard. Maribel, could you share the link in the chat to the Jamboard? So there is 3 slides. There's one for kinder, there's one for first, there's one for second. If you could, please go into the Jamboard. In the slide deck, you have access to lessons from the first week. And what you would need to do is tell us an engagement option for this lesson, an idea that you have for this lesson. For instance, if I'm in kindergarten, I'm going to say, oh, vocabulary. In this page, I can do TPR. This one applies to each grade level, correct? Because everybody has vocabulary at the beginning of the lesson, and everybody has the opportunity to do some gesture like amphibians or anything that you come up with the students. So if you could share, read the beginning of the lesson that is coming up for you in the next couple of weeks. Read the beginning of your lesson. Second grade teachers, you can choose either one of the English lessons or one of the or the Spanish lesson that we share with you. Just start reading it. You can select to go only to the beginning, or you can select to go to the end. And you let us know something that you could do in this lesson, an option. So as you see here I'm going back to the presentation, yes, so you see that here you have the links the actual Amplify lessons. And you can decide where you would like to do some kind of activity or a which corner activity. I'm going to give you a couple minutes and then we can share.
Well, I posted mine on the second grade Jamboard,
Thank
but
you.
it was create a timeline for the lesson on the War of 1812, and maybe discuss the other worldly events that occurred maybe in that century, and discuss.
Yes. And actually, that gives me another idea.
Okay.
Because if you give the kids the card with events, and you have the kids walk around and place themselves in order, creating a human timeline.
Okay.
So
Even
it's
better.
the same thing. It's already in there in Amplify. You're not modifying the lesson. You're just making it more dynamic. So when they come observe you, they can say the kids were very engaged. The kids were moving around and participating. So thank you so much. I love the idea. Okay, someone else gave us a question. So what are questions great for? Bilingual pairs, correct? Any question? Just make sure, because I've seen this in a feedback. When someone asks a question, when you have them do think per share, make sure it's a question that has depth. Like it's an inferential question or something where the kids can discuss and have longer discussions. Because if you have them do think per share for something that is just very literal, it's not going to lend itself to long conversations. Okay, someone said go over the slides in pairs and go to different
yes.
corners.
Yes, Mercedes. I remember this lesson from last year, and so several things happen, and sometimes they get confused on what happens first and what happens second. So what I do, I put them in pairs, which could be bilingual pairs, and they have to like act out what's happening, you know, like the fight, like they get together to write the Constitution. And then what happens is in different corners, they do they do a passage. I mean, act it out, you know. And this way they interiorize more and they understand what's going on. Because sometimes last year was I mean, some students had difficulties to see, oh, but then why this? Why, you know? So yeah, acting out, it works in my classroom. They are very...
Yes. And you have some historic lessons coming up in all 3 grade levels. So this is great for those historic lessons. And then in 1st grade, there are Venn diagrams. So you can compare previous stories to the new ones, or you can post different, you can make each corner be one of the stories, and then the kids get the cards and walk to the corner and retell the story. That's another option. And in kinder, well, this is my example, kindergarten teachers. But now, thank you so much for participating, everybody. I think at least we walked out of here with a few ideas. I love the act it out, and I love the human timeline, and I love the TPR and the think per share. So those are great options. So this is the end of our time today. Remember, you have the SharePoint where more trainings are being posted if you want to take any. Okay.
Thank you. I do appreciate you giving your time to help us out with the second quarter and help us out any questions or anything. So that is so awesome in your part. Thank you. I do appreciate you, okay?
Thank you. It means a lot to us.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.